I'm Michael Bain, and welcome to Triggered 2023. This is actually the beginning of our 4th year. That's incredible. Of course, still coming to you from Dragon House Studios, the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains, which has never been found. And coming up, boy, wow, it's going to be a hectic couple of weeks because, of course, we're going into SHOT. And the SHOT Show, Shooting, Hunting, Outdoor Trade Show, is always crazed. Now last year, if you remember, just briefly, we talked about SHOT Light. A lot of big players didn't show up. And people on the floor were saying, well, you know, maybe this is the end of a giant trade show like this. Well, this year, even though they've added a huge amount of extra space, they sold out. So I will be running myself ragged. I'll send you all the new information we can from SHOT. But today I want to look at a couple of products that are new, plus one that's old. The newest, this is one of Ruger's new introductions. It is essentially a SHOT Show introduction, and it is a Security 380. Now, Ruger's had a lot of success with their Security 9mm, which is a lower line, a subline, a less expensive line. And the question would be, well, why do you want a Security 380? Now, Ruger's done this before. On the LC9, which was their very first introduction into the sort of mini 9mm category, they later came out with an LC380. And the reasons are the same. There are people who want to carry a gun, who should carry a gun, who want to be involved in a world of concealed carry, who might not be able to easily run a miniature 9mm. One of the things we found out in our very first shooting gallery tests on multiple mini 9s is they're experts' guns. They bark. A 380, however, doesn't do that. They say, well, we have little 380s, example, the Ruger LCP, LCP2, but this is a holster gun. It's light, weighs under 20 ounces. Only safety there is the Ruger safety system. It's hammer gun, not a striker fired, but this is a system that Ruger has been working on a long time. It's a really good system. It carries a redundant manual safety. Now that doesn't cause me to break in hives like it does some people. Some people see a redundant manual safety and they begin sweeping and weeping. However, who is this gun aimed at? This is aimed at new people coming into the market. And it may well be that they're going to feel an extra level of security with a manual thumb safety. So I'm agnostic on it. I have some guns with it, some guns without it. Please keep in mind that I shot competition with a Colt 1911 and I've taken off manual safeties a lot. The other thing that tells you what the purpose of this gun is it's an easy rack. That is a big deal when we start talking about small 9mm. Small 9mm have heavy springs, and a lot of time, younger people, people with hand strength problems, or the elderly like myself, might have trouble working that slide. So the Security 380 has gone to some lengths to make it the perfect, easy to use rack slide. Adjustable rear sight, fiber optic front sight. This is kind of cool. Comes with a 10-round magazine or with a 15-round magazine. Say what you will, but a gun this size with 15+1 is a significant and important tool for the concealed carrier. So I say hats off to Ruger for looking at all the new people coming into the market and say, what are their needs? Got more for you when Triggered returns. Welcome back to Triggered. And by the way, the MSRP on that little Ruger is $369. And I bought my test and evaluation unit. Why? Because sometimes when I have students, when I have people I'm training, it may well be the perfect training center for our gun. So, again, with SHOT coming up, I got a call from Mark Roth from Roth Performance. He works with my good friend Randy Luth. at Luth-AR. Of course, Randy was the founder of DPMS and kind of the father of America's rifle in the United States, a longtime friend. And Mark said, I know you're really interested in 22, and I know you built up a lot of 22 chassis guns. So I'm going to send you a 22 chassis gun that I worked up with Mark that's being sold through Luth-AR. And stick a 1022 in it and tell me what you think of it. Now, Mark is absolutely correct. 22 is booming, both on the precision side of it, through like 22 NRL, 22 NRL Extreme, PRS Rimfire, and on the speed side of it, with the Rimfire Challenge Shooting Association and with Steel Challenge Shooting Association, a couple of specialized steel shoots that have a lot of people coming into the sport. So far, I like this. I like this a lot. You can see the adjustment. You've got the adjustment on your cheek piece here. You've got the adjustment in overall length. You notice how the grip is set. This is something that we have learned from the Precision Rifle series. This is the way a grip needs to feel, that allows you to feel the gun the right way. It's a relatively light chassis. Places where you have M-locks, it's beefed up, which is really handy. You know why? Because I peeled M-locks off cheaper chassis. It happens. But this thing looks sturdy. Again, it's about $179. And Mark said, why don't you just like throw a 1022 into it? I said, that's hardly fair. So I'm going to go ahead and build a gun up on it. I have a couple of barrels, Green Mountain, and then one of the original Ruger hammer forged match barrels. That's a really, really nice barrel. And since I'm going to be at the SHOT Show, I'll make it a point of picking up a 1022 receiver. As light as this chassis is, I think you can use it either for precision 22, or if you're careful with your part selection, there's no reason you can't use this in a speed match like Rimfire Challenge or Steel Challenge. Hang on, we'll be right back. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Arms Corps, Rock Island Armory. What's your passion? Taurus, USA. Always ready, always bring it. Stoger, everyday tough. SDS Imports, Thesis. Thesis means quality. Hunters HD Gold. They change so you don't have to. And MTM Case Guard. Quality shooting sports accessories. Welcome back to Triggered, and a project that I started end of last year and kind of brought all of you in on it. This is my FNP 45 ACP beast of a semi-auto. And if you recall from last year, I was looking for something to replace my bedside gun, which has been a SIG 226 for decades. But I wanted a red dot on it. 226 doesn't lend itself to that. I would have to buy a new top end and blah, blah. And I was thinking about what would be the ideal replacement gun, and I came back to this little guy that I've had for a while, originally designed for a military spec that never went forward. Cool thing about it, as I mentioned last year, is it can be shot double action or cocked and locked. Here you see it cocked and locked, single action trigger, excellent single action trigger. Or it can be cocked and you can use the manual safety as a hammer drop, which will then allow a double action first shot. The reason I like that for a bedside gun is I am seeing the double action as a secondary safety. It's a long pull and it requires you thinking about it. So I don't want a race gun by my bed where I pick it up, bang. Instead, I want a little bit of that extra security. So I sent this gun out to a company I've never worked with before, Nameless Armament, which, I mean, come on, give me a break. Nameless Armament, what a great name for a company. And had them mill it for a Trichicon RMR, which is to me the great baseline red sight against which all the others are judged, and had them put on a set of night sights. Now these night sights are from Trichicon, front and rear, and they were originally designed for this gun, for the military contract on this gun. And there's a Streamlight here. This is a Streamlight TLR-8G green. A lot of reasons for that, but for the bedside gun, I like the idea of suspenders, belt, duct tape, anything else you can to give yourself a little advantage. I have a red dot, I have night sights, I have a very bright light with a green laser. I also have 15 rounds of 45 ACP, and typically in the 45 ACP, the gun by my bed would have these Federal HSTs, which is essentially the brand against which all other 45 is measured against. So, can't wait to be shooting this. As soon as I put a couple of hundred rounds through it, it goes to the bedside. I am Michael Bain. This is Triggered once again in our 4th year. You can find us on michaelbain.tv. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Rumble. You can find us on Twitter. But definitely find us, subscribe on YouTube. Let's keep guns a part of that platform. We'll see you next week.